This is Kettering University.
It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Mary Barra. Mary is currently General Motors Senior Vice President for Global Product Development. She is, in fact, a 1985 graduate of GMI Kettering and currently sits on the Kettering University Board of Trustees. She was named Senior Vice President in February 2011. In that role, she is responsible for the design, engineering, program management, and quality for General Motors vehicles around the globe. She is a member of the Executive Operations Committee and serves on the Adam Opel AG Supervisory Board. Prior to this, Mary served as GM Vice President of Global Human Resources, GM Vice President, Global Manufacturing Engineering, Plant Manager in Detroit Hamtramck Assembly, Executive Director of Competitive Operations Engineering, and has held several engineering and staff positions. Barra began her career with GM in 1980 as a Kettering University co-op student in the Pontiac Motor Division. She graduated in 1985 from our university with a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering. In 1988, Mary was awarded a GM Fellowship, and in 1990, she graduated from the Stanford Graduate School of Business with a master's degree in Business Administration. She currently serves on the General Dynamics and Barbara Ann Karmanos Cancer Institute Board of Directors. She also serves as the key executive for GM for Stanford University and Cal, the University of California, Berkeley. As the highest-ranking woman at GM, as well as the entire worldwide automotive industry, Mary leads the design, engineering, and quality of the automaker's 11 global brands. She is also number 35 on the Forbes list of the 100 most powerful women in the world, up from number 41 last year. Well done. Where she joins other leaders like German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Lockheed Martin CEO Marilyn Hewson, and IBM CEO Ginny Rometty, who I might point out, the current IBM CEO also worked at GMI in the 1980s, all of whom have been recognized by Forbes for their power to and influence in shaping our world. She recently told Forbes that being a car gal rather than a car guy has never stood in her way. It's about no kidding results, she said. And no kidding results are exactly what she has consistently produced across her distinguished career. A career which, by the way, began right here where you now sit. Please welcome our commencement speaker, Mary Barra.
Thank you very much. President McMahon, Chairman Kettering, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, administration, distinguished guests, parents, families, friends, and most importantly, members of the class of 2013. Thank you for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to be back on campus, and I'm honored to be part of your commencement exercises. It's hard for me to believe, but it was 28 years ago when I sat where you sit today. I recall it very well, the joy of graduation. And I also recall the promise and the excitement I felt about leaving school and starting my career in earnest. So much has changed since then. For example, did you know that the first commercially successful typewriter was invented 145 years ago? Well, 115 years later, my class was still using it. But change was in the air. In fact, my classmates and I became the first Kettering class to write our thesis on a computer. Of course, I'm not talking about an iPad or a laptop or even a desktop. We relied on a mainframe computer the university shared with General Motors. It was about the size of a locomotive and accessed through massive terminals that had tiny green screens that were kind of like a retinal display if you're a bug. Still, this was a big change back then, and the pace of change at Kettering has only increased. But today, as I look around the university, I see what has changed most in the last 28 years, and it's you, the graduates. As members of the class of 2013, you're also members of what often is called the millennial generation, and I'm sure you've heard that about 20,013 times before. Demographers like to talk about you as if you're a monolithic mass of humanity. Well, I have 2 teenagers at home, and one is just 2 years away from starting college himself. So despite the fact that there are 80 million of you out there, making you the largest age grouping in American history, I'm well aware that no 2 millennials are exactly alike. For example, not all of you are attached to your cell phones 24/7. About 1 in 5 of you actually manage to sleep without it. And not all of you grew up with high-speed internet. Apparently, some of your parents still use dial-up. And this may come as a shock, but not all of you are millionaires, at least not yet. But you are the richest generation in history with the collective spending power and influence of almost $1 trillion. Not all of you have short attention spans. Let me repeat that. Not all of you have short attention spans. In fact, some of you haven't texted or tweeted in the entire 3 minutes I've been speaking. Not all of you have put off buying a car or getting a driver's license. In fact, some of you probably have more miles on your odometers than you have friends on Facebook or pins on Pinterest. Well, okay, 3 of you do. Not all of you speak acronym, HBU, IDK, YOLO. For the parents and family friends in the audience, that means, how about you? I don't know, and you only live once. In fact, some of you still use your cell phones to actually make phone calls. OMG. And not all of you will be famous, but thanks to Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, some of you already are. Of course, not everything has changed since I was a student here. Some things never change, like, for instance, the oil they use to fry the tater tots. Don't tell the freshmen. Just as it was in my day, Kettering students today really do have an opportunity to learn more, experience more, and achieve more. That's because the skills you learned here at Kettering, critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, communications, analysis, and above all, practical, real-world experience are as essential today as they were 30 years ago. I think about my own experience. When I was 18 years old, my friends were all working at fast food restaurants, and as a Kettering student, I was applying engineering skills in a GM assembly plant. That experience was absolutely invaluable for me. It gave me an early understanding of what it meant to be an engineer in the auto business. It served as an entry point into industry, and it really gave me a leg up in the corporate world. When you pair the kind of practical experience with an excellent foundation that Kettering provides you in science, technology, engineering, math, or business, I know that all of you can have incredibly successful careers. But speaking as someone who knows more or less where you're coming from, let me offer 5 pieces of advice that have been important to me, and I hope you'll find them valuable as well. First, no matter what you choose to do in life, pursue it with passion and hard work. In my experience, in school or career, at work or at play, there are lots of very talented people out there. So talent alone is not enough. You need something more. One of the things that distinguishes those who really make a difference in life, those who really contribute, is their passion and hard work. Remember, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. So don't be content to work around the edges of your profession. Don't wait to be invited to important meetings. Don't expect to be asked to work on critical assignments. Instead, do what it takes to ensure you are at the core of your business. Speak up, volunteer, and show your enthusiasm. As an employee, that's what makes you part makes the job more fun, and as a manager, that's what inspires other people to join your team and play hard as well. 2, address challenges head on. I'm reminded of the plant manager who asked his lead engineer to explain her hiring process. She said, well, we fill a bathtub with water and we offer the applicant a teaspoon, a teacup, or a bucket. Then we ask him or her to empty the tub. I get it, the manager said. A go-getter will use the bucket because it's faster. No, the engineer said, a go-getter will pull the drain plug. If you have an issue in your life, at work or at home, pull the drain plug. Address it head on and address it right away. Don't procrastinate and don't be content to just point it out to others and hope someone else will take care of it. In my experience, it's much better to get the right people together, make a plan, and address the challenge head on, and then just keep moving forward. 3, change the world. I joked earlier about how the millennial generation is the largest, richest, and most tech-savvy generation in American history. Well, what I didn't say, and what is probably more important, you are also the most inclusive and most optimistic as well. Use these traits, along with unprecedented access to information and instant global communication, to challenge convention. More than any other generation in history, you have the power to expose and correct injustice, to rethink outdated assumptions, and to make a real difference. Of course, you can't expect to change the world overnight. As Charles Kettering said, virtually nothing comes out right the first time. The only time you don't fail is the last time you try something and it actually works. So keep at it. And remember, while there's certainly a lot wrong in the world today, there's also a lot that's right. Not everything needs changing. Some things need protecting, and that can be just as important and challenging and rewarding as changing the world. Avoid the temptation to change for change's sake. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'm thinking of things like our environment. We've come a long way in recent decades in understanding the importance of protecting our environment. Let's continue that progress and find new ways to lessen our impact on the planet, even as we improve the quality of life for people all around the world. I'm also thinking about things like the health and education of our children. It is often said that a true measure of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable members. Let's find a new way to protect our children, to encourage their growth, to expand opportunities, and safeguard their future. 4, give something back. As tomorrow's leaders, you have a great opportunity to use your knowledge and passion not only to build fulfilling lives for yourselves, but to also make a big difference in our communities. Never underestimate the effect you can have on others in actions large or small. Find a cause, join a charity, help a neighbor. I hope that each of you will find something you feel strongly about supporting and that you will make it an important part of your life. In that way also, you can truly make the world a better place. Finally, the last thing I want to mention on this special day is to remember your friends, your family, and your faith. Keep your friends and family close. I just can't tell you how important they are. They make your life journey very rewarding. During the good times, you'll have someone to celebrate with, and during the tough times, you'll have someone to turn to for advice, for comfort, and for love. Remember that this day is almost as important for your parents and loved ones as it is for you. In fact, as a mom, I can say it might even be more important to your parents. Be sure to thank them and tell them how much you appreciate their support and the sacrifice. And remember your faith, whatever it may be. Faith doesn't always make things easy, but it can make all things possible. So a lot has changed in the 28 years since I sat in your chair, and a lot has stayed the same. It may feel like your life is mapped out for you today, but I can assure you, things will happen to you, opportunities will arise that you simply cannot imagine today. Be open to those opportunities when they occur, especially in the early part of your career. Each new experience will broaden your skills and your perspectives. Embrace them, enjoy them, and at times, you'll have to overcome them. They are the experience that make you unique, and they are the milestones that will define your life. My sincere thanks for the opportunity to speak to all of you today, and most of all, congratulations to all of you, the class of 2013. This is your life, and I'm so excited for each and every one of you. Thank you.